Welcome, my beautiful souls. Imagine that you're sitting down with your spiritual team after everything you've been through, and you're asking them, and this is what we are asking them. Tell me what you, our spirit guides, have been doing behind the scenes on my behalf. So, on your behalf. By the way, if you hear me say I or me, I'm just you. I'm just picking up on your energy. So, we're going to ask some straight to the point questions like what lesson was hidden or feeling? What challenges have you graduated for? What blessings are now just waiting to enter? And then a couple more, but we'll end it with what your spirit team wants you to know, like right now, their special message to you. And I will channel this intuitively. Um, so like like I hear from your spirit guides all the time, they know that the right people will find this reading, or they're going to put this reading in front of the right people. And in that, I trust. So let's go ahead and begin. So, question number one. Actually, let me bring the lid down. Question number one. What lesson was hidden? Was there a lesson that was hidden from me? A feeling? Let's see. We have the Nine of Cups. Nine of Cups, inner harmony, fulfillment of wishes. Some of you, this can be singular energy, and it can specify that, like learning how to, well, I feel like enjoy one's own energy. And it doesn't mean you're not inviting anyone else into your life. It just feels like, well, for some of you, I feel like that's what you feel like you've been missing, that inner harmony. And this could certainly specify that when we find that inner harmony, the rest just kind of takes place. But let's see what comes out supporting it. Well, hello, Four of Wands. Hello, marriage card. Wow. Hidden. Love. Why? Chances are, and I know some are going to be like, oh, yes, I was ready. But maybe internally, especially with the Nine of Cups here, because this is about finding inner harmony. And if you think about a nine is about reflection. So some of you, this may speak about the need to reflect back, but it's really to clear, not to pull that energy forward. It's to clear that energy. It's not like you forget, but you're no longer willing to carry the weight of yesteryear. So this has been hidden. To me, this is true love. This is true commitment. You know, they call it the marriage card. I'm the one who says it doesn't have to be marriage, but it's definitely love. Okay? See what comes underneath it? Wow. Five of Cups. Okay, that makes total sense. Because in the Five of Cups, first of all, a five, it's asking for change. What kind of change would it look for? Is it looking for in the Five of Cups? Well, it's showing you focusing on cups that have already been knocked over. And you know, a message I've been picking up intuitively lately, when I'm not even reading, I'm just like watching TV, is that many of us forget to look back within our own history. And what I mean by that, and this was an important message that our guides was giving me, because when we are so focused on what we have lost without reflection, then we kind of get stuck in that web. So, what I feel Spirit is trying to say is if you look back in your own history, there's many relationships you probably had where you thought, this was it, this is my person, and then something happens. Somehow it ends. But you know what? It was probably meant to end because, let's face it, most relationships are going to end. But what is behind the Five of Cups? What is behind this change? Soulmate. And no wonder we're seeing the marriage card. So, hidden, kind of. But in a way, I feel it's more, have I been concentrating so much on the love that's gone wrong that I forgot to maybe look within myself? Because I feel this sense of if I allow myself, because you have reflection, then the change. If I allow myself to look at the patterns, I can easily or somewhat easily see and understand that not all relationships are meant to last. And I mean, I can think of a few in my life where I thought they were going to be forever. And honestly, thank God they weren't. Thank God they weren't. So this inner harmony seems to be the ticket. And by the way, when I say inner harmony, it doesn't have to mean like my whole life is together. Even myself, I'm all together. It just means you're finding joy in like the everyday moments. You're starting to enjoy yourself again. You're being truer to you. And I feel like this is why. And by the way, because we already have a soulmate energy on the table and a true connection, no wonder the reflection back is so important. And that's all it is. It's not about judging yourself, not about saying, what was I thinking? It's just saying, what did I learn? And I'm telling you, sometimes the lesson is as simple as I now know what I do not want, what I cannot accept in love. And that is a big thing to know. But let's continue. We can always come back. So, what challenges have you graduated from? What degree are you receiving? Wow, that's perfect. The Page of Pentacles. Everything I've been learning along the way. This makes me feel for many of you, you're starting to realize that you're much more than just this human body. You are a spiritual being who's borrowing this body. And this is everything that your soul has learned in this lifetime. This is really a perfect energy. This is a relaxed type of energy. But it's like you just graduated school. You just got your diploma. Hello, Emperor. First of all, this is a card of Aries. The Emperor to me is a great leader. Whether I'm leading a few or a lot, it doesn't really matter. It's just someone who, I feel like the Emperor and the Empress both have lived a lot of life, and you can live a lot of life in a short amount of time. But this is someone who now takes all that wisdom, all they have learned, and they become the leader. They are now helping others. This is someone who, they do think about their fellow man and woman and they want to help. I also feel for some of you, you may have started a business. And love could have been on the back burner because you starting this business, or even just, let's say, concentrating on your finances, because even concentrating on your finances, I feel like gave you this big, or soon will give you this big leap. I love this if you have started a business because it totally feels like you're meant to. And this is someone who, they live in the regular world, but their spirituality is really what leads them. Okay, see this below it? The Eight of Cups. Perfect. Because as I'm learning what these cups represented in my life, I'm walking away. And you're walking away with emotional clarity. This is an 8. I can never find the number 8. 8 is about a new beginning, but it's also connected to above. As above, so below. Lets you know you don't walk this path alone. But look at that. As you learn, you're able to let go. As you absorb, you start to have this clarity. You allow this new beginning. This is powerful already. And this Eight of Cups is moving on from the Five of Cups. So we already know that somewhere along the line is a soulmate. Somewhere along the line is a potential of real commitment. And it's not the past relationships you didn't have real commitment, but I do get this sense that you guys are saying, well, I know it because they told me this. That once we understand that relationships that ended were meant to end, like there was nothing left, or it became too hard on you, whatever it may be, we do have to be careful that we don't get stuck in and I almost hate to say this, but the woe is me energy of the Five of Cups. Because then we stop believing, well, in love. But this isn't just about love. This really feels like abundance, taking your wisdom, and I feel like using it for the greater good. Doesn't mean you're not making money because you have to pay your bills. And your guides know that, just like here, in the beginning, I wrestled with, you know, do I charge? I mean, is it right to make money? And that's what I heard. Like, do you not have to pay your bills, Sandy? Yes. Yes, I do. Unfortunately. Okay. And I feel like I said that just for anyone who may think that, like, what if I am doing spiritual work? Is it okay to bring home an income? And your spirit guides are like, yes, yes. I mean, if you're doing it from a spiritual place, then it's not about making income. How do I say this? Some use spirituality, make income from that, um, but may not be truly channeling spirit. So if it feels true for you, I don't know why I'm going in detail on that. Okay, but let's keep going. So, what blessings are entering? Or what blessings, let's say, once we have this change? By the way, we have change and a new beginning, side by side. Here, the Emperor, I just realized 2 4s. The Emperor, right here, and the marriage card. Stability, our foundation. I have a feeling that's another message. Like, think about the foundation of anything you build, from business to love. The stronger the foundation, well, the stronger the roots. Okay, so what blessings are entering? Well, hello, magician. It's like the power is put in your hands. You know, we are all the alchemists this year. We are in a universal year one. So, this is a year to manifest. This is a year to put those intentions out there. You know, to plant those seeds, because when you plant seeds, you will have a harvest. If you plant no seeds, there is no harvest. But the magician, I mean, look at, like, literally, we can see him like planting seeds. It's almost like he's watering the star. Okay, the magician, the hermit. Carter Virgo, by the way. This is all about your spiritual wisdom. It's also a 9. So, reflecting. But I have a feeling part of this reflection, like in the hermit's energy, I feel like sometimes you're going through what feels like the dark night of the soul. Dark night of the soul is just a difficult energy. But the hermit is seeking clarity, is seeking the light. And you hear me say it all the time. That's all our spirit guides want us to do. Seek the light, and ye shall find it. Some of you, I'm telling you, the hermit sitting next to the emperor, like spiritual businesses, hang on to your hat. And then the 2 of Pentacles. So you are manifesting something right into your life. And I feel like it's more than one thing. It's like opportunities. Could be opportunities to build, to create more within your finances, create that business. But there's 2 Pentacles. And you know, they do call this the juggler's card. It is a question, but the question is, where the meaning of the card is, you know, can I fit this into my life? What I really feel it is, it's more about using your logical mind. I have a feeling there are 2 blessings coming in. I feel like one is financial, and I feel the other is love. But I want to say, the magician coming out is telling you that you have so much more power than you may think. You know, the magician reminds us that we hold the pen and paper. We are writing our destiny as we go. Yes, some things are predestined, but a lot of it is free will. A lot of it is really learning about your spirituality, learning how to manifest. And I love that you're manifesting out of the hermit's energy, which is like an old soul's energy. It reminds me of like your higher self. And how beautiful if your higher self and your current self are working together. I may come back to that. We'll see. Um, what do, or let me put it a different way. What should I stop worrying about? What should I stop worrying about? Probably so that you can be in that 9 of Cups energy, that inner harmony. What worry are you hanging on to that doesn't feel like you need to? Wow. Okay. 5 swords. 5 swords, toxicity. It does want change. These are, well, it can be the people in our lives, the people that were in our lives, but it can also be the thoughts. But I still feel like it's relating back. We have two fives on the table, the Five of Cups. That's where that emotional change needs to happen. Five of Swords, I feel like often lands within our thought system, but it's almost like hanging on to old words, like where someone said, you won't amount to anything. Okay, I just got a message of someone who may have kids, and you may be going through a separation, a divorce, disconnection. And what I'm hearing is someone saying, well, you won't find love when you have kids. But that's just not true. And I know that in my own life, that's not true. And I know many of you know that. But I feel like those are some of the hurtful type of things that were said to you. Now, what I'm also feeling is I have to look at the source. I have to understand what type of energy those comments were coming from. I feel like this Five of Swords, it feels like it almost forced me to make certain changes. All right, let's go above it. Well, there you are, making the changes. Sometimes I think, I don't know why I'm talking, I should just take a card. The Page of Wands, my risk taker. Take a chance on me, take a chance on you. This is someone who, I feel like through their life, they have fallen down, but they've taken chances. And it's not about, like, what was I thinking, taking that chance. Taking the chance was probably a good thing, but not all things are going to pay off. This is someone who is learning how to get back on that horse again. And, the Five of Swords and the Tower, where what should you stop worrying about? The past. The people who, were naysayers. The people who didn't believe in you. And listen, sometimes it's family. And it's not like we can just eclipse them out of our life, so to speak. But, especially with the hermit here, it's like when you have this spiritual wisdom, and if you're getting like energy from lower vibrational people, well, I hear this all the time from our guys. Like, look at the source. Look at the source of where this information is coming from. Don't stop taking chances. Don't stop. Keep on going. This is very much like my foal. Like, I know I've fallen, but it's like living without regret. Not easy. But once you start living in that type of energy, you won't turn back. Okay. So, last but certainly not least, and then again, we may go back, so I'm saying last, but what does Spirit want to leave you with today? Love. Wow. Love. That's powerful. I feel it. Now, their love, yes. The love of divine, always. Romantic love, I have a feeling. Because if you take this ace, that's mirroring the Nine of Cups, takes us to the Ten of Cups. This is unconditional love, and I feel like that is a message your guides want you to hear. We don't only love you when you're doing things right. We know, even if you're doing something difficult, that you're learning, that you're growing. But we love you no matter what. And then I feel also that romantic love go above. Oh my God. Knight of Cups, unexpected couple fulfillment. And what does this night bring in? The Ace of Cups. I just did another reading. I can't even think of what it was, where I got the exact same energy, different deck, different reading, but they were connected. Boy, I wish I could remember what reading it was. Maybe I'm not meant to. Maybe some of you know. You can fill me in. Look at that. And by the way, the Knight of Cups is now mirroring the marriage card, the commitment card, the Ace of Cups. Ah, the Knight of Wands. Wow. And by the way, this knight is coming into the reading. It's almost like it's going to meet the magician. Some of you you're manifesting love. You may not even know it. Some of you are manifesting abundance. That I think you know. You may not know how abundant you can really be. How beautiful. Not only your guides saying how much they love you, but literally showing us that love is coming in the door. Now, does it need change first? I think so. And why? Because just this line alone, and that it's from your spiritual team, we have to listen to everything that's being said, right? The Five of Cups, where even if this soulmate, because we know there's a soulmate, even if the soulmate is someone you already know, I want you to understand it wouldn't also be the Five of Swords, because that I feel like has to go. Again, whether it's toxic people, and why does it have to go? Because I feel like you've outgrown it. I feel like you're just better than that. And I'm not saying better than them, but better than that. And I feel like many of you know that. I love that the magician is right in the middle of the reading. And it's a great reminder that your guides can and are ushering in love. But it's going to be up to you, right? Like in the Two of Pentacles, whether you say yay or nay. And there is no right or wrong. It's what you want. If you want it. And if you don't, just let it go on by. I have a feeling that would be very hard to do the way this love is coming in. But if you don't, let it go on by. Okay. And it just may mean that you're not feeling it's the right time for you. And if that's the case, I would just give the fives one more look at. All right. Whoa. Hello, Emperor on the bottom of the deck. So we have the Emperor twice. Double Aries, by the way. The Strength card. Heart of Leo. It's everything you've overcome. Look at it mirroring the Ace of Cups over here. And that Ace of Cups coming from your spiritual team. 8, a new beginning. I love this image because you can see this woman, half lion, half woman, gentle little lamb on her lap. She reminds me of the Empress. This feels like the lessons I learn that turn into my courage. A badge of courage. Wow. Two page of wands could be two fools. By the way, when I say a fool, I'm not calling you a fool. I'm calling you the fool of tarot. The fool in tarot. But I have a feeling that both of the loves that are going to be, both have probably gone through similar energy. And, I feel like I find that often in the readings. More like minded, let's put it that way. And another thing I think about when I see the Emperor, not always, but it did pop in my head like, I'm a better man. I'm a better man. Now, I don't mean that as in I'm a better man than everyone else. I mean that as in someone who knows who they are, knows what they want. Someone who, if they want to be in love, I feel like will show you the world. I also feel like it speaks about the type of energy. Many of you, you're on this spiritual journey. I know you know that. And I feel like this is saying this potential love is also on your spiritual journey. Like meant to be? I think so. Okay. I was just thinking I used all my clarifying cards, so let's use the Tarot of Dreams. Whoops. Because I do want to come back and potentially use the Romance Angels, but let's see what we get. I'm going to look right at the Magician, to be honest. Because that Magician's energy is wide open. It's like, what do you want to manifest today? It's putting the power back in you. It always was in you, but you're realizing that now. Look at that. Look at that. Okay, that's a lot of cards. However, wow. Uh, let's just go through them quickly. The Fool. Actually, let's pick these up. The Fool. Well, I've been talking about the Fool a lot lately. Hello, Empress. How do I love this as it relates to love? Many of you know when I see the Emperor and the Empress together, they are my power couple. They both have an open heart. They both can lead. They both are leaders. Creativity. The biggest difference between the Emperor and the Empress is I feel like the Empress goes more by the seat of her pants, like takes an epiphany and runs with it, where I feel like the Emperor is much more methodical. But look at that. The Six of Cups, that's good to see. Moving on from that Five of Swords. I'm sorry, the Six of Swords. But that's where the toxicity lied. This is you moving on from it. Judgment, your spiritual team, calling you to the present moment. There is about to be a rebirth. Hello, lovers. Wow. First of all, card of Gemini. Meaning of the card is the head of a hard decision. What does this fit? Because to me, the lovers is about chemistry. And if you notice, the lovers are being influenced by the angel. Now, some cards, some decks, you'll see the devil influencing the lovers also. but it's shadows influence of that we can't be together. That type of thing. But here, it's your angels. And how beautiful the judgment is calling you to the present moment. And then comes out the lovers. Joy and celebration. That is what you're meant to feel. This is the type of energy that this will open up, this rebirth. Ah, temperance. First of all, card is Sagittarius. Temperance's first message is patience. But because judgment here is here, that's calling you to the present moment. I feel like the time for patience is coming to an end. And really, you have so much more control over this because, again, I feel like it's when I cleared these fives, give the towers where I need to give the towers, get back to me, and I feel like everything else takes care of itself. This is about trusting in divine timing, but divine timing must be now. Oh, wow. And then I should have just looked at the card, the Ace of Wands. It's go time. The Knight of Wands can feel like you're getting swept off your feet. This is definitely feeling energy sometimes before it even arrives, especially the Emperor and the Empress. Why? Because they live in the present moment. Doesn't mean they don't have a lot on their mind because they are doing well, building businesses, taking these epiphanies and getting creative, whatever it is that you want to do. But this energy feels like it's going to meet you. And then I feel like the Knight of Cups also will show up. This is not far off. We do have to reach out and grab this ace. In other words, we have to say yes to it if that's the direction we want to go. You always have choices, free will, and your guides know that. And this may be why it's like we're feeling the passion before it enters. It's almost like your guides are saying, we know we have to clear that heart chakra of yours or help you to clear it. That's pretty freaking amazing. Just coming over the Magician. The Fool. Well, the Magician is the Fool's greatest mentor. The Magician teaches the Fool, you possess everything you need to truly be successful. Your past is what has taught you. And, if anybody knows that it hasn't been easy all the time, your guides know that. They literally walk side by side with you, but they can't interfere in free will decisions. That has to be up to you. And I feel like that's why your guides were reminding you that we're all the alchemists this year. We all hold, and this is forever. We all hold the pen and paper. It's almost like just step into it and the rest will just take care of itself. Okay. I am not going to take all these. Oh man, I feel like I have to. All right, I'm going to do it real quick. The World, because I feel like this is important. Completion of one chapter. Why? Because a new chapter is ready to open. We see it everywhere. And I feel like that's one of the first messages your guides gave you is learning that most things come to completion. But I feel like whatever happens in the world's energy, by the way, it is the Fool in the middle of that portal. I do feel like whatever happens in that energy has a good chance of lasting for the rest of your life. Okay, I can't keep talking. It'll take me forever. King of Cups. Well, that's a great king to see as it relates to love. High Priestess, your intuition. Right under Temperance, this is what you want to trust. You know, you may get that initial instinct and then overthink it, especially with Virgo and Gemini on the board because both are ruled by Mercury. The Moon, card Pisces, ruler of Cancer, uncertainty, but dreamy. Some of you may have had dreams lately. Okay, we got to go faster. The Page of Pentacles again, like minded. Look at that. It's like two are making the same decision. Hello, Knight of Pentacles, your guardian angel. Wow, this is probably why I felt like I had to take him. I didn't see that, but now I understand why I couldn't put them away. Knight of Pentacles, you know, this knight tells you I come at the right time. And, you know, when is the right time? The right time is when you're ready. And it is a slow moving night, but everything on the table is moving forward. So I feel like so is the night. Oh my gosh. The Knight of Cups. So it's like your guardian angel ushering in this unexpected couple fulfillment. The Seven of Wands, defending your ground. The Five of Cups. And then the Two of Wands. So moving on. Why? You can see their backs are to each other. This one, you know, and it looks like they're wrapped in the cloak of the hermit. So, who's ever in this energy, you can find your answers. I don't want to hide the two cups behind that because here is the energy of moving forward, of taking a step forward. This is not a fear-based energy. This is more excitement. Yeah, it doesn't mean I know what lies ahead. I just trust it. Something tells me that I can trust it. Some of you are right at that crossroads. But look at the divine energy that's helping here. Empress, the Knight of Pentacles, your guardian angel, Judgment, your whole spiritual team. Not only are they sending love from them, but also love into your life. Okay, holy cow. Let's pick these up. I was not expecting all that, but I have to say everything made sense. Like every card felt like it was meant to be there. Okay, so because that took so long, I feel like what I'm going to do now, I'm going to bring in the romance angels. You know, it doesn't mean skip over like your potential to really create true abundance in whatever way, you know, seems fit for you. I often feel like the emperor is using his hands. I feel like the empress is using her creativity. But again, you know, there's not like one set thing. It's what calls to you. And that may be exactly how something happens. You know, that's how I got into tarot. It called to me. I wasn't seeking it. I knew nothing. I knew nothing. But yet it called to me. And I answered that call. And now, so many years later, I totally understand why I got that call. All right, romance angels. You know, I feel like your spirit team is like, what else you need to know? What else do you need to know? Make the effort. Great love. Great love. is worth taking the steps you're guided to take. Great love is worth taking the steps that you're guided to take. Over and over and over, I felt you were being guided. It's almost like that energy of I feel like if I just put down control and I just go with the flow, I'm going to flow right to my blessings, and my blessings flow right to me. Great love is worth taking the steps you're guided to take. Retreat. It's time to disconnect from the world. This reminds me of the Four of Swords. But you know what else it reminds me of? I feel like this person, this woman, and it can be the other way around, but I feel like they're walking with their spiritual team, like having that conversation. It reminds me of that footstep poem. I can't remember it, dang it. But it's like you don't see the footprints of your spirit guides. Doesn't mean they're not there. They're there. I feel like some of you, it's funny because that's how I opened this reading. Like, imagine that you're sitting down with your spirit guides, asking them questions. That's what I feel is happening here. And then romantic feelings. Hello, Ace of Wands, Knight of Wands, and much more. Your feelings are real and worth exploring. Notice how it says you don't have to jump into it. You don't have to jump to the ending. This is worth exploring. Maybe step by step, day by day. Let it unveil itself to you. Let yourself feel joyful in it. You can always change course. But I don't think that's going to happen. And I'm going to let that be. I'm going to let that be. I don't know how I could top that. I want to say thank you to your spiritual team. Thank you. Well, really, our spiritual team. I feel like our guides have all, like, they work in cahoots together. Like my guides tell me to do a certain reading, and then your guides just make sure that you're at the right place at the right time, or the video comes across your screen somehow. That I just trust. I let it go and let it flow. And this one, I hope it flows right to you. And I'm going to let that be. I love you guys so much. I mean, so much so that, if nothing else, this is what I really hope you find. Inner harmony. Loving your life again. And it doesn't mean everything is going perfect. It's just now you know how to deal with it, maybe. And then the fulfillment of wishes. And it's mirroring the Ace of Cups. What more do I need to say? Even the Knight of Cups mirroring the marriage card. The Knight of Wands mirroring the Emperor. Wow, wow, wow. Even the Emperor and the Empress showing up together. And by the way, they are the ones that I feel like if they decide to collaborate together, I know I say this all the time, but I truly believe it. I feel like they could create magic, both in love, but also in abundance. True magic. Magic is real. And this feels like magic here. But it's real. I love you. Your spirit team loves you deeply. And they're really just trying to help us reach our full potential. Amen. 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 I'll see you guys next time at our table. Happy abundance and happy loving. I'll see you next time. Bye bye.